Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I had a pretty fucking good day yesterday, considering I don't really know what I'm doing, just taking my football. So if we go through it real quick, I know there's some 12 o'clock games, so I want to get to it. So first game, we hit Maryland. We lose the Furman under with Virginia. We lose Utah State. We hit the Kansas over. We hit the Alabama over. See, those are good where the defenses aren't good. You know, these teams are going to score a ton. So instead of worrying about 20 points, you go over. Hit the San Diego State under. Hit the Arizona Princeton under. Yes, Princeton wins the game straight out, but I have it under. Easy winner. Hit the under in Arkansas, Illinois. Hit the over in Auburn, Iowa. I'm not sure how, when it was like 39-29 with like 15 minutes left in the game. They scored like 100 points in the half of the fourth quarter. I lose on Oral Roberts. This is like comes back to football. It's hard to bet the Oral Roberts Duke in basketball like it's hard to bet Arkansas State against Texas A&M. The better team does win, so you got to take that into account, even though it's basketball. Lose the Boise State game. Lose Colgate. I have Colgate in 14. They lose by 20. Then I hit the under. Tennessee looks so strong. Hit the under there. They only scored, 110 points, and it was at 130. Lose on Houston. Hit UCLA. Wins by 23. And hit Penn State. So overall, a pretty good day. I don't know what's wrong with Houston. They hold them at 52. Their defense is strong, I know, but I thought their offense would be better. So let's go to today's games, and let's quickly we got a 12:15 Michigan State and a 12:40. And then it gets to later. So we've got, where is that? Michigan State. All right. We got Michigan State, lane 2.5, 137 total. Let's get the game. So we've got, this game's dead even. USC scores 72, gives up 67. Michigan State scores 70, gives up 67. No big offense here, so it's probably an under game or a USC game. I'm going to go blue today so I can differentiate my greens from my blues. Let's see. With this even, it's take the dog. I'm going to take USC because Michigan State's really bad. So take USC plus the 2.5. I don't know, over under 130, 137. It's going to be right around there. So let's go USC. Next game, Xavier. They're all over the place here. So I'm going from east to Midwest. Xavier's playing Kennesaw State. Xavier playing 11.5. And over under 152. Now I saw Xavier get killed by Marquette. So they're coming in on a big downer. So let's see. Kennesaw State scores 75, gives up 68. Xavier, a high scoring team, 81, gives up 74. Xavier's an over. Kennesaw State who can score. I like the game. What do we got? 152. Let's go over here. This is definitely an over. Xavier will score in the 90s. Over. Those are your two games. I'm getting my coffee. I'll be right back in 30 seconds. Okay, so sorry about that. So game number 2, we go over with Xavier. They're an over team. Not a lot of defense being played here. It's a tournament. Xavier's pissed. They got blown out last game, so we will see. So game 1, Michigan State, USC, we take USC. Game 2, we go over with Xavier, Tennessee State. Next game, UC Santa Barbara against Baylor. Now, I heard this coach is a Bobby Knight coach for Santa Barbara, playing Baylor. Okay, so we've got Baylor laying 10.5. Seems high with a 141. So let's see what's going on here. And I am on a little earlier because of these 12 o'clock games. So it's sort of like what I do with college football. It starts at noon, so I do the class earlier. We got Baylor a 77-70. So it's pretty high scoring. And UC Santa Barbara 72-65. So how good? So Baylor scores a lot. Not a good defense. Santa Barbara, pretty good defense and pretty score. So this is pretty even. Now we get into, do we go over? Do we take a team like Santa Barbara against the Baylor? This is really the problem. Again, we got 10.5 for 141. We're going to play Indiana defense. Baylor doesn't play, scores. I don't want to get Santa Barbara at 10.5 and they get blown out by 20 again. I'm going to go over in the game. Baylor with the each. I think it gets over that. So I like this game over. Just because Baylor scored. Baylor's an over team, right? They're going to score a lot. They can give up a lot. All right, St. Mary's. We go to we're all over the place here today. This is insane. St. Mary's. Okay, St. Mary's, Virginia Commonwealth. St. Mary's laying 4.5. And 123. This is a very low over under, very low total. Let's see why. Virginia Commonwealth, we got defense here. Virginia Commonwealth 71-62 and St. Mary's 71-60. So we have two, we got Iowa State playing Iowa here. My football reference. What do we do in this game? So 71, they're not going to be scoring. It's 123. So that you can see it pretty much tells the picture, right? You see 123, you know there's going to be low scoring. This says 123 based on average. Now you see how Vegas does it. They're just taking the average score and they're going, well, this will be 123 because that's what the average says. Neither team really shows a lot of offense. And if St. Mary's only averages 71 in Commonwealth, it's a hard under. 120 is in the 60s. I just can't imagine this game doesn't get into the 60s. Tennessee looked really strong in their game under, but generally this should be a little bit more. Do we dare take Virginia Commonwealth? See, we don't know anything about Virginia. I couldn't name one player. Well, I can't name one player in the tournament anyway. St. Mary's 4.5. So this is a very difficult pick. Let's leave this game alone right now. I would go under on it, but the unders, it's like going under in the Illinois Iowa game, and the over under is 32. And you just can't go under 32 total. You go under a 39 or a 40. Of course, I'm talking football. Or Georgia, like Georgia in the 50s is a lock. Georgia in the 30s is not. And what's interesting is Georgia was never much under 45, 46 in a total, which was amazing with their defense 2 years ago. So let's skip this game. We don't need to bet them all. Oh shit, I just fucked that up. All right, Marquette, Vermont. There we go. Here you go, Nick. Marquette, Vermont. Marquette laying 10 with 142 total. And let's see. This is going to be our first lock of the tournament. Let's see. We've got Vermont 73-66 and Marquette 79-70. Marquette's really an over team, very explosive. Vermont, they score 73, give up 66, so they're going to score. Let's take Marquette in the 10 here. We'll make this our first 5 unit for you, Nick. Take Marquette, lay the 10. Vermont, they don't really have the defense. I mean, playing in their league and giving up 67 a game isn't really that strong of a defense, but Marquette scores 80 in their league, and they compounded Xavier. I'm going to take Marquette only laying 10 points here. Let's make this our 5 unit play of the day. All right. Pittsburgh and Iowa State. A good under in football, but let's see how they are in football. So Mississippi State. So Pitt beats Mississippi State. Spread here is Iowa State laying 4.5 and 131. And if this was football, we'd automatically go under with Iowa State. All right, Pitt scores 75, gives up 70, so they're probably more of an over team. Iowa State 68-62 is a very strong under team. We're going to go under in the game. I'm not even fucking around with Iowa State. Play them under. Definitely it's an under 131. Pitt gives up 70, but they only score 75, so Pitt's kind of a weak team anyway. Look for Iowa State to bring in the football team and keep the game low scoring. So 62, I'm going to go. See, here it's 131. That's a whole different thing than the 123 in the St. Mary's, Virginia Commonwealth. Now, it's a low score, but I don't know. That's really low. This is 8 points higher with basically the same team. So let's go under Iowa State. North Carolina, Creighton. I don't understand this line. Creighton's favored by 5.5. Now, I know Michael Jordan's not at North Carolina anymore. I got to find where the hell is North Carolina on here. They got Creighton, maybe this is North Carolina State. Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, it is North Carolina State. So we got Creighton minus 5.5. And a total of 148. And let's take a look. We had NC State scores 78, gives up 70. Creighton scores 76, gives up 68. So it's pretty even here. I don't understand why Creighton's a 5.5 point favorite here. I'm going with the dog. Let's take NC State and the 5.5. I mean, they score more. It's pretty 78-70 to 76-68. It's basically an even game. I'm teasing the dog. Connecticut, Iona. And There we go. Jumping all around again. We've got Connecticut minus 10, over under 140. Let's go inside the game. So we've got Iona 76-65 and Connecticut 78-65. So this looks like a lower scoring game. We got 140, so I'm going to go under here. I can't trust laying 10. Connecticut's not strong enough. They both give up 65 on defense, and Connecticut 78-6. So it's not a 10-point difference. See, now with Iowa, is it? Yeah, okay. Duke blew out, and the other blowout with Texas. But is that the norm, or it is basketball? But yeah, Connecticut wasn't that strong. They didn't win their league, and if we look at it, Connecticut is a 4 seed, Iona a 13 seed, which means absolutely nothing because they don't know how to rank the seeds. So yeah, I'm going to go that way. I'm going to go under 140. Purdue and Fairleigh Dickinson. Every time I see Fairleigh Dickinson, I think of Animal House. When they were on the road trip dating the girls from Fairleigh Dickinson. Purdue minus 21 with an over-under of 146. Well, let's see. Oh, Purdue's 23. My mistake. I looked at the opening one, not the closing. 123, 146. That's better. So is Purdue a 1 seed? Can they handle 23? Well, they did well at the end of the Big Ten tournament. Well, let's see what they are. Animal House 78-74. They're an over team. Purdue 73-62 is about a B team. They're not quite an A team. They only score 73, but they have a good defense. So with that in mind, you would think Fairleigh Dickinson won't score. Well, they give up a lot, so Purdue should score. Their defense should hold Fairleigh. I ain't laying 23. 146 is in the 70s. Purdue probably gets in the 80s to 60s, 140. All right, let's go over here. Even with Purdue's defense, I think Fairleigh Dickinson can score enough, but has no defense. So I think Purdue can turn it on. Kentucky and Providence. Kentucky laying 3.5. 143. I keep looking at the wrong number. I keep looking at the opening number. My apologies. We got Providence scores 78, gives up 71. We got Kentucky scores 75, gives up 68. They're both -7s. Providence more of a over. And I'd say so is Kentucky. So this is an easy over. Kentucky laying 4.5. I'm not really buying. Providence can score enough. I think it's a high scoring game. I think I'm going to make this my other 5-star. We're going to take Kentucky Providence over. Drake against Miami of Florida without Jimmy Johnson. No Michael Irvin. Let's see. Where the hell is Miami? Good God. All right. Now I go back to the Midwest. This is the stupidest thing as I've ever. I mean, it's all over the place, these brackets. Miami and Drake. Miami laying 2.5. I'm shocked. And 145. All right. Let's check the scoring out. We got Drake 75 points, 63 against. Miami 79, 72 against. Drake's a very good team, a +12. Miami's a +7. Miami's an over team. Drake is more of a B team. What's the spread on that? Miami is 2.5, 1.5, 2. Over under 145. Miami's going to score. Drake with the good defense, but I can't take 2.5. I think Drake upsets them. Let's go with Drake. Take Drake in the 2.5. And if you're looking at the total, I would say it's an over if you want to go there. But I think Drake gets the W. The defense is 10 points better. And I don't think this is as severe. Miami is like Texas or Duke. Like I said, against the Grand Canyon. They're playing the whole fucking canyon. It's amazing. Gonzaga minus 15.5 and 154. We know Gonzaga is usually a high-scoring team. Grand Canyon scores 73, gives up 64. Pretty good defense. Gonzaga, 87, gives up 72. So you're going to see a lot of points here. I don't think Grand Canyon's 64 is going to stop Gonzaga's 87. 15.5. Yeah, we're going over in this game all day. Now, here's where you get into, but the Grand Canyon, 65, pretty good defense, but Gonzaga. Now, if it was Iowa State, we would take Iowa State or the under. But in this situation, I think you got to sit there and look at Gonzaga's scoring 87 and really not a good defense at 73. To me, a good defense is in the low 60s and a great defense like Houston's in the 50s or Tennessee. I think here Grand Canyon can score. So I think it becomes more of a higher scoring game. I don't think Grand Canyon's going to really stop Gonzaga. So let's go over 154 here. Florida Atlantic and Memphis. I like Memphis. Let's see. Memphis 1.5. Are you kidding me? 151. What am I missing here? Florida Atlantic scores 78, gives up 64. They look like an A team. Memphis scores 79, gives up 71. Memphis just beat fucking Houston. I got to take Memphis here. Now, yes, Florida Atlantic is a very strong team. 151. Do I want to go over? Well, I got to play my gut. My gut's Memphis. I'm taking Memphis. Laying 1.5 because they just beat Houston. And Houston's defense gives up in the 50s. And they had a 70-point game with them. So I think they're going to handle Florida Atlantic. They beat Houston twice. Was it a 140 or so? This is a one. What is this? This is, where the hell is it? This is a 151, which is 76, 75. It's a game in the 70s, and I think it'll get there. I think Florida Atlantic scores 80. I don't think their defense is, I definitely see this being higher scoring. But we like Memphis. So I just think the way they beat Houston twice in a row, they got the confidence right now. They're playing well, let's put it that way, like Duke. Kansas State and Joe Montana State. We got Kansas State laying a touchdown, 7.5 at 140. against the Joe Montanas. Joe Montana scores 74, gives up 66. Kansas State 75, gives up 69. Pretty even game here. Should be in the 150s. What's our number here? 140. This is our total, 140? Okay, we're betting. This is our 10 unit. Let's go over. This is a joke. This is a joke. You got a 140 with teams that score 75 and give up 67, 69. These are not super strong defenses. So, yeah, I'm going over with this. I'm going to take my Joe Montana over. Indiana, Kent State. That's the big 10 unit play here. Kansas State over at only 140. You've got a low line here. This should be 150. It's in the 140. It's a 10-point line. So there we go. That's what we look for at the Teaser King. Indiana, Kent State. Indiana minus 4.5. Bobby Knight is not coaching. And 140. What we going to do? We got Kent State 76-65. Pretty good fucking team. Indiana 75-68. Kent State's the better team here. Better offense, better defense. I'm taking Kent State. I get 4.5. Let's take Kent State. Over under a 65 and a 68, 70s. Probably about a 145. It's 140. I'm going to say over also on the game. But we're taking Kent State. Kent State probably will win. TCU, Arizona State. TCU minus 5.5 and 142. And this had to be a playoff game. So Arizona State had to beat Nevada, which means they got a little momentum. So we might want to look at Arizona State here. But let's see what they look like. Arizona State scores 71, gives up 67. TCU scores 75, gives up 67. Now, I know they got injuries, TCU. They both give up. So we're looking at about a 150, and this is a 142. TCU's got some injuries. I like Arizona State here. They did win the play-in game. TCU is injured. So we're gonna take Arizona State in the 5. I think it's a dead even game. Neither defense is all that good. All right, that's the last game. So let's run through them. USC starting in 10 minutes. We took USC plus the 2.5. Xavier, Kennesaw State. We took over 152 here. High scoring game. Xavier, the Purple Aces, as they were called. Baylor, UC Santa Barbara. God, it's so hard to find these Baylor. We took we got over 141 here. Virginia Commonwealth and St. Mary's. Good God. It's so hard to find the game on the sheet. I should have done it like football where I here it is. This game I didn't play. St. Mary's minus 4.5, 123. It was just too I couldn't really get a feel on it. So I let that game go. Marquette, Vermont. We took Marquette laying the 10 over Vermont. They look really strong. I just think they're too much for them. Iowa State, Pitt. We took under 131. Creighton against North Carolina State. That North Carolina, we took North Carolina State plus the 5.5. Connecticut, Iona. We took under 140.5 in the game. Not trusting Connecticut. Iona's got a good team. So I don't think, like Texas and Duke are very, very strong teams. So, yeah, you got to be careful. But I don't see Connecticut, sort of a weak favorite, let's say, as we do in football. So I don't see where they're going to blow out Iona like Texas blew out Colgate and Crest and all the mouthwashes. So, like Iona here. Purdue, Fairleigh Dickinson. I went over 146 in the game. I think both teams are pretty explosive teams. I'm not comfortable with Purdue minus I am Alabama or Kansas or the UCLA. So I'm gonna take over instead of Purdue. I don't trust Purdue. Kentucky Providence, Kentucky 4.5. I went over in the game 143. I think this game should be high scoring. Neither team's got that great defense. And keep in mind, the Houston, Tennessee have the great defense. And Houston and Tennessee is really what we're looking at. For the people that just joined, so we're taking USC in the first game, and then we're taking that's the 12 o'clock game, so you got 6 minutes if you haven't already bet it. So we took USC and we took the Xavier game. We took over 152. So that's your 12 o'clock game-ish. And then I'm running through the rest of them. Okay, Purdue. All right, Kentucky, Providence. We went over 143 there. And this is like a 5-star. So all the others are just, here I am. Taking baby steps, but this one I really like. Kentucky Providence over. I would bet that a little bit harder. I think that's a bad number for the over/under. Miami and Drake. Van Dyke's not playing. Miami minus 2.5, 145. I'm taking the Drakers plus the 2.5. Again, I think Miami's a weak favorite, like West Virginia was. I had Maryland. I think this game's pretty even. Gonzaga versus the whole Grand fucking Canyon. We've got Gonzaga laying 15 and 154. I like the over. Gonzaga is just 90 points a game. The Grand Canyon has a good defense, but it's the heat. When they get indoors, they're not as strong. I just think Gonzaga is just too much. But I think Grand Canyon can score, but I don't think their defense is going to hold them. Gonzaga doesn't have a real strong defense, so I'm looking for this game to be 150 or 160, 170, like a 90 to 75, 80 point game. So I'm scared of the 15.5, but I think it'll be high scoring, sort of like a couple of the Kansas and Alabama games. Memphis, Florida Atlantic. Memphis is laying 151. I think that line is now Florida Atlantic is an A team in their conference. They have a good offense and a good defense, but Memphis just beat Houston twice, and they played the toughest defense they're going to play, a lot tougher than Florida Atlantic. I like Memphis laying the 1.5 here. I don't think it's because Memphis beat Houston twice in a row. I'm going with Memphis here. I just have a gut feeling on Memphis. My INFJ says take Memphis. Kansas State and Joe Montana. We like the over in the game, 140, 139.5. Kent State, Indiana. Without Bobby Knight, they just can't do it. I like Kent State plus the 4.5 in this game. TCU 5.5 against Arizona State. So Arizona State won the tiebreaker against Nevada or the play-in game, whatever the fuck what they can't choose 64 teams anymore. They got to have Why have it just make it the whole all 250 teams in the playoff? I don't understand. TCU 5.5, 142.5, a lot of injuries. I think the game's pretty close, and Arizona State's got the momentum. They beat Nevada, and that's worth something. So I'm going to take Arizona State in the 5 here, very small. And that's your games for today. So let's look at what happened yesterday. So yesterday, we'll just go down the list. Alabama over 154, an easy winner. Maryland getting 2.5, an easy, well, not an easy winner, but we'll take it. Charleston, San Diego State under 141's a winner. Furman, Virginia, we did play the game under, and it just went a little bit over 131. I think if they don't hit the 3-pointer, it's like 132. Let's see. It's so strange because then today you have NC State and Baylor in the same region. So how is some of them Thursday and some of them Friday? It's really screwy. Utah State, we had +1.5, got beat by Missouri. Princeton under against Arizona, we have it. It's an easy winner. It was 153, which I thought was really high. So Princeton under, they actually win the game, which we don't care about. Now, like I said this is the weakest conference. So you have Alabama winning big. They get Maryland next round. You've already lost the 4-seed Virginia and you've lost the 2-seed Arizona. So Alabama, like I said, they'll get to the Final Four for sure. There's nobody in the count. Who's left? Baylor. They'll probably lose today to UC Santa Barbara, who's a Bobby Knight coach team. He said, I heard him on the radio. He says, I used to just go to the practices with Bobby Knight. I guess he was let in, and he just took notes. And he said, here's how you play this situation, that. Here's how you play offense. So you got fucking Indiana here. So I'm taking the game over, but I won't be surprised if they beat Baylor. So there's Alabama against nobody, right? I mean, it's like Furman. Is Furman going to give them a problem? Maybe Baylor. Missouri's the 7, Princeton the 15. I mean, Alabama's just in a walk-in, as I thought it would be. Very weak bracket for Alabama. I was shocked how bad they put the bracket. Then you get here to the east, how strong it is. Well, we got Purdue today. We got Memphis today. Duke does beat Oral Roberts, as I was afraid of Duke. And Duke will probably get to the Final Four. Tennessee, Louisiana, Lafayette. Tennessee just fucking, what an under game that was. It was 135. I think they got 110 in the game. I think it was like 55-50 or something. What a strong defense by Tennessee. Look out for them. They're going to play Duke next round. Look out. That's an under. That'll be under 100, I think. Kentucky Providence is today. So I have Tennessee under. That wins. Kentucky Providence, we're going over in this game for 5 units. Kansas State, Montana State, we're going over today. USC, Michigan State, we like USC. And Marquette against Vermont, we like Marquette. So look at the difference. You got Purdue, which I don't even know if they can beat Florida, Fairleigh Dickinson. You got Memphis, who just beat Houston twice. You got Duke, who's Duke. You got Tennessee with this great defense. You got Kentucky, Kansas State, USC, and Marquette. Like, all of them are better than the East than the South. All 10 teams are better than the South, except for Alabama. This is a problem. So this is a huge. God, there's no way Purdue will make it out here. Maybe Duke, maybe Tennessee with that defense, maybe Marquette. This is the toughest region. Then we go to the Midwest. We have Houston, an easy winner over Northern Kentucky. We got Iowa over against Auburn, comes through. Drake, Miami today. Kent State, Indiana today. So we like Kent State. We like Drake. Iowa State against Pitt, we went under. Xavier, Kennesaw State, we went over. A&M Penn State, we had Penn State, W, Texas Colgate. We did go with the mouthwash, and Texas killed them. So, again, I still see Texas Houston coming out of this mess. Much harder bracket than the South, but I think it's Houston. Houston's really not playing that well. Strong defense, but their offense looks terrible. Right now, I would say Texas is going to come out of there. So I would think Texas and Alabama's in, and then in the East, who the hell knows? Could be Duke, could be Tennessee, very easily. Could be Marquette, probably not Purdue. I don't think Purdue can beat Memphis, to tell you the truth. Then we get to our West region, Kansas, big blowout. We have the game over, goes over by 100. Arkansas, Illinois, we have it under. It stays under. St. Mary's, Virginia Commonwealth. It's the only game we're not playing. UConn, Iona, we go under in this game. TCU, Arizona State, we take Arizona State. Gonzaga, Grand Canyon, we take the over in this game. Boise, Northwestern, we had Boise. That's a loser. And then UCLA laying the 17, an easy winner. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with this. Half the bracket plays one day and half the bracket plays the other. What a total joke this is, because it's a huge advantage. So you're playing the team that plays Sunday. Now you get to the next round, right? And the team that played Saturday is a huge advantage over the team that played Sunday because of I get the extra day. That's ridiculous. Now, unless, well, maybe it doesn't work that way. Like Drake and Kent State are both playing today, both play in Albany. I'm looking at this Midwest. Look at the West. Des Moines, Iowa is not West. Albany, New York is definitely not West. Denver is, and Sacramento is. So they put Gonzaga, well, at least they're in Denver, but they put UCLA in Sacramento. Kansas plays Des Moines. Okay. Then you've got, what, Purdue is in Columbus with Memphis next week, or this week, I guess. They don't show next week's games. So you got Purdue and Memphis playing today. You've got Duke and Tennessee both played yesterday. So look at these: Columbus, Orlando, which is East, Greensboro, North Carolina. So of course we didn't put a North Carolina team there. Surprised they didn't put Duke there. They usually play Duke or North Carolina as a home game, and they want to call it a tournament, a fair tournament. So North Carolina's got Kentucky, Providence, Kansas State, Montana State. And also in Columbus, you put Michigan State there and Marquette. What the fuck is USC going to Columbus for? And Michigan State goes there. That's not good. Then in the South, all right, Birmingham, Alabama. So you give Alabama a home field. So you give them the easy schedule, and they're playing in Birmingham, Alabama. What the fuck is that? That should not happen. They're playing at home. You got Orlando, Denver, and South. What the fuck is in Denver? How is Denver in the South? And Sacramento. Since when is Sacramento in the South? What the fuck are these idiots doing? So here's Missouri, Utah State goes to Sacramento, Arizona. Princeton has to go to the West Coast, but Alabama gets to play at home. This is what I hate about this tournament. It's so stupid. Not only are they not, the brackets should all be playing the same day, because that's extremely a big advantage to the team that plays Thursday versus the team that plays Friday. But then you got to go to the East. Princeton's got to go to the West Coast. Good for them. They won. They beat Arizona in Sacramento. Good for Princeton. So that's today's games. Okay, the Michigan State game just started. I don't know if you want to watch the game. I don't really turn on, see the score, watch a few minutes of it. I don't know. what else? So we'll start getting into the football draft. We talked quarterbacks yesterday. It's really pretty pathetic because Hartman and Rising aren't coming out. Those are the best two quarterbacks. They're staying in. So it really is the Alabama quarterback and CJ Stroud, why they put them high, and Richardson. The teams that draft those three quarterbacks will be firing their coach within 2 years and recognizing these quarterbacks don't work out. Just like Tagliavua and Max Jones. Oh, Mac Jones went to Alabama. Yeah, he sucks too. And Tagliavua, who's always concussion. And how's Fields doing? How's TJ Barrett, or is it TJ Barrett or JT Barrett? How's he doing? And then these guys have the nerve to say, well, you can't say you can't pick Ohio State quarterbacks. Okay, name one that's done anything. You can't, because they don't do anything in the pro. What, Herb Kirkstreet? I mean, come on. The only one was Tom Addy, but he played running back for the Colts in the 60s. He's probably the best quarterback out of Ohio State. I mean, you can't name one that's good. It's a system thing. So why do these commentators keep saying, well, you can't say Ohio State quarterbacks are no good, but you can't show me one that's done anything? It's the system. It's a system. But then when you talk about Western Kentucky, then they say it's a system. Their quarterbacks aren't good. Well, did you watch Zappy play? Are you kidding me? So this is what I don't understand about these announcers. They're all pro Ohio State and Alabama, but they can't back it up with anything. Besides Joe Namath and Ken Stabler, you can't find me an Alabama quarterback that's done anything. And don't tell me Tagliavua hasn't won a playoff game. Mac Jones absolutely sucks in any big game. The Buffalo games, he needed the game at the end of the year to get into the playoffs. Didn't show up. Zappy's the better quarterback, but for some reason, they want to keep using Mac Jones. It's almost like Alabama controls the league. And so I don't get that. Richardson, he's not even as good as Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson's terrible. I mean, he's a wide receiver, basically. Put him at wide receiver. Let him run back punts. That's what Lamar Jackson should be doing. He's got the speed. He can't throw. We had a guy named Tim Tebow. Remember him? Good running quarterback. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Look what happened to him. And they made the mistake of drafting him in the first round. That's about what Richardson reminds me of. Like a Tim Tebow. He can run. He's an athlete, but he can't hit the broadside of a barn. So if Richardson was any good, Florida would have won the SEC, and they would have been in the playoff. They would have beaten Georgia. They got killed by Georgia. I'm not really seeing it. I don't really. So those three quarterbacks are out. Like I said, Hayner, Stenson Bennett, absolutely. Duggan from TCU, absolutely. Thompson Robinson from UCLA, absolutely. There's a Rourke from Ohio who looked pretty good. I'm not sure I would draft him, but, I would take a look at him. He's much better than Richardson. So that's what you have. So the teams that draft, I can never remember the Alabama quarterback, and Stroud. If they play him right away, they're going to look like the Bears. They're going to be 2-15. You think the Bears? How comfortable are the Bears with Fields? Oh, we need to get him receivers. Oh, did you need to get Tom Brady receivers? Tom Brady never had receivers. The only receiver he ever had was Randy Moss, and they went undefeated 1 year. Then they don't even have the brains to sign Randy Moss to his second year. So really, really confused that you're telling me the only way these quarterbacks are any good is if you give them Tyreek Hill and Waddle, or you give them 2 superstar receivers, or something like Philadelphia. Well, we had to sign A.J. Brown and he's got Smith. Okay. And, okay, that's what they needed. And then they ran the ball the whole time anyway. I mean, against the Niners was all running. They had the one pass that was incomplete that the idiot Niner coach doesn't challenge. You wonder how he's the coach. This is why the Niners never win, is because their coach is too stupid. I wouldn't be wasting my time with the quarterback in the first round. I'd probably get a Haener or get Bennett in the second round or third round. They'll be there. But that's who I would go after. Haener will be gold. Bennett won 2 titles. What the fuck? What don't you see? What don't you like about him? He even had to come back against Ohio State and put up 42 on them, right? So we know Ohio State didn't have a good defense, but he had to win the game at the end of the game with it, and he did. So he's a winner. He's a good quarterback. Oh, he's 25 years old. Big fucking deal. I hate to break it to you. So Lamar Jackson's older. Tagovailoa is probably 25 now. Lawrence probably 25 now. What are you kidding me? That's your excuse? These are not these radio announcers. This is why I can't listen to these idiots. They don't know what I'm really getting frustrated at, as you can tell, is people that will make a statement that's not factual, but they'll make it like, you can't look at Ohio State's quarterbacks because of none of them are any good and assume that C.J. Stroud's not going to be any good. You can't just blanket Ohio State quarterbacks that they all suck. But if I say it like I mean it, but your argument holds no water. It's not an argument. Name Ohio State quarterback in the last 20 years that made it in the NFL. You can't. None of them can. They just started getting better with Urban Meyer, but none of those. What? Caldwell Jones? Yeah, he was good. Barrett? All those quarterbacks with Urban Meyer, where are they in the pros? Now you got Fields. Where's he in the pros? He sucks. All he wants to do is he's a running back now. Now C.J. Stroud's going to be good. Do you think he's any different than J.T. Barrett, who couldn't even handle Washington? Do you think this guy's going to be better than J.T. Barrett? It's going to be the same thing. He can't pass. He can't read a defense. He can't read a blitz. He doesn't have the running backs. He's going to go to a shit team, right? So he's either going to go to Washington or Houston or whoever else, Indianapolis. And what do you think he's going to do there? He's going to suck. If he goes to, let's say, Houston, drafts C.J. Stroud, he'll be out of the league in 2 years. What are you expecting? Where's this Richardson? He's going to go to Indy or Houston, right? The wonderful Indy and Houston. So they'll take these shitty quarterbacks. They won't get any better, which is fine. See, we don't argue with it. We make money on it, right? Oh, you want Richardson on Indy or Houston? We're going to lock against that, bet big money every fucking week because these guys stink. So we already understand they stink going into the game, right? They stink. We know it. We want to bet on Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Aaron. We'll be betting the Jets a whole lot this year. We'll be betting Buffalo. I don't know. Miami added Jalen Ramsey. He'll be hurt in 3 weeks. Does that make Miami better? I think it makes them worse. And here's why. You got to pay, $25 million for Jalen Ramsey? Instead of maybe 5. So that extra $20 million, which could go into reserves on linebackers and defensive linemen, has to be paid to one man. You're already paying Travis, Tyreek Hill, $30 million. You only have so much, and you're going to have injuries, right? When Tagliavua gets hurt, if he even plays, but let's say he plays 2 or 3 games before he gets hurt again, who's your backup? Mike White? Yeah, he looked good on the Jets, didn't he? He was like 1-4, had a couple of decent games against weak teams. This is going to, and you got Jalen Ramsey. Why didn't you get a good backup instead of Ramsey? Ramsey's not going to help you. That's not your problem. Your problem is you don't have a quarterback, and you've got your receivers. You've got your running attack. You need help on defense, but you don't put $20 million on a cornerback. You get 4 or 5 studs from Georgia at $5 million a crack, $6 million a crack. That's the problem with it. With the salary cap, you can't get Tyreek Hill and then Jalen Ramsey. It's not basketball where you can bring in the superstar. Look at the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, paying him whatever, 20, 30, 40 million a year. They didn't win anything. They didn't even make the playoffs. They had receiver problem. They had defense problem. This is the superstar. Look at Tom Brady at Tampa. They sucked last year. Out of injuries. Well, you don't think Miami's going to get injuries? But they won't be able to bring in anybody because let's say Ramsey gets injured. Now what the fuck do you do? If Tyreek gets injured, you're not going to win 5 games. So if Tyreek stays healthy, now you got Ramsey. Ramsey gets hurt. You have no money for backups, right? So you're really fucked. That's the only thing New England did good was they never would sign a guy. That's why Will Folk went and Seymour. That's why they left, because they weren't going to pay him what they were worth. Because New England said, we're not going to pay more than $5 or $6 million, and we're going to have a bunch of guys $5 and $6 million, and therefore when we have injuries, are okay, and we have Tom Brady. The running backs were shit, the receivers were shit. He had Gronk, and then the linemen were pretty good. That's how New England won. That was their formula. As you know, I mean, the best guys were Wolfhawk and Seymour and Vrabel, and they had good secondary guys, but those were cheap guys. They didn't cost them. It cost them $2-3 million. They didn't cost them $20 million, and they never paid Brady what he was. Why Brady stayed there as long as he did? He was out of his mind. He could have went to Tampa earlier and won 5 Super Bowls with them. But now that Brady's gone, now this Tampa's falling apart. Poor Kyle Trask. He's the real deal. So if I'm Houston or if I'm Indy, I'm going after Zappe. What are you going to draft CJ Stroud? You don't think Zappe's better? Zappe's done it. He played good 3 games. All right, Green Bay, Detroit, and there was another one. He looked very good. All right, he's proven he can do well. Why New England's not starting him is beyond me. But why aren't you trading for him? I would trade for him in a minute. Now, he's a whole lot better than Garoppolo. Oakland's not going to be any good with Garoppolo. The Jets will definitely make the playoffs with Rodgers, and then they bring in Lazard. So he's got his 3rd down receiver. Look at the Jets, the ball control. Their defense is very strong, should even get better. They'll probably add a few more good players who want to play with Rodgers and win a Super Bowl for the Jets. Even Joe Namath might get out there. So I think the Jets will do much, much better with by adding Rod. So you add the right piece. They got the defense, and they bring Lazard with it and a couple other receivers. And if they get Beckham, who I'm not a big Beckham fan. All right, he caught a ball with one hand. Yeah, we've seen it done 1,000 times now. In college, LSU receivers do that. Tennessee receivers do that all the time. So not a big deal. But he's still known for that, but he's not known for fumbling and dropping passes, and he can't block, and There's a real good receiver out of Tennessee. He's All-American. He was hurt all year last year. Played in the Alabama game, I do believe. I don't remember his name. So if you need a wide receiver, I would go after him. Chad, go after him as opposed to signing a Tyreek Hill or something. This guy's unbelievable on Tennessee. Also, Hooker's the other one. So if I'm Indy or Houston, wouldn't I want Hooker or Jake Hayner from Fresno State or Duggan from TCU or Bennett from Georgia ahead of any Ohio State quarterback who can't read it, who Fields can't do it on the Bears? What do you think this guy's going to do? You think he's better than Fields? You think Fields is any good? What the fuck are they thinking? So I just giving you 4 quarterbacks. Hooker's much better than C.J. Stroud and the Alabama quarterback. He beat the Alabama quarterback. So I mean, it's just, do you watch the game, right? What are you looking at? Are you watching the game? So that's where I'm at with that. I just think that for some reason, like they forget about Hooker, they forget about Hayner, like they don't exist. They're not good players. It's unbelievable. What are we watching? And then what are these guys? The announcers, well, he played for Ohio State. He must be good because look at all the good Ohio State quarterbacks, which I can't name you one of them. But you want me to say it's not a system. You want me to say these guys, look at Fields. He's looking better. Oh, really? He's in what world are you looking at? He can't throw. He runs. And he loses because he runs. Because then when he gets in the red zone, he can't run anymore. So the definition of a quarterback apparently is a guy who can scramble around and run. So let me ask you this. How many Super Bowls did Fran Tarkenton win? Right? Staubach ran around but threw. Bradshaw scrambled around but threw. Look at the immaculate reception for my Steelers, right? Look at that play. If that was Lamar Jackson or Fields or any of these, Josh Allen, they would not have never made it. They would have ran. Lamar Jackson would have took off running on that play. The pressure was coming. He would have tried to run, get in the field goal range, even though there wasn't time. But Bradshaw stayed in the pocket, looked and looked. He did a Mahomes, and then he found him. Even though the pass was absolutely idiotic, throwing to Jack Tatum. And for Franco Harris on that play, he was staying in blocking. And then at the last minute, he said, well, there's nobody to block. I better get out and maybe block downfield. And that's when he stumbled on the ball. That was the biggest fluke. But where's Bradshaw throwing the ball to? Keep in mind, they needed a field goal to win. What's Bradshaw doing, man? He was clueless. Then you see Montana. It's a 10-yarder to Rice. It's a 15-yarder to Taylor. It's a little to Roger Craig. There's Rice on a crossing. Dink, donk, dink, boom. Montana would have won the game like that, not the way Bradshaw won it. But again, that's the difference in quarterbacks. So that's what I say. Like a Fields or Lamar Jackson would never have made the play. They wouldn't have thrown the ball. They would have tried to run. That's the problem with running quarterbacks. You can't get into the red zone and run as a quarterback. It's not ever going to work. And you don't really want your quarterback running. So what do the running backs get pissed? The receivers are like, what the fuck am I running this 30-yard route? And the quarterback runs. The receiver does not want to run out for a pass so the quarterback can block, right? Only at USC now in Oklahoma when they had the coach. That was their job. You run deep, and then the quarterback's going to run. That's Oklahoma / now USC's offense. Anyway, there's so many better quarterbacks than C.J. Stroud. It's a joke. I don't know what they're looking at. Against Michigan, he didn't show up. So what are you looking at? Played one good defense. Michigan doesn't show up. Against Georgia, he runs all over the field, which is not – that wasn't his norm. That's why it worked. Anyway, so in the draft, you're wasting your pick by taking Stroud number 2 and Richardson number 3 or 4 and the linebacker from Alabama. Those are all wasted draft picks. that maybe you think you're selling tickets. You're gonna sell a ticket because C.J. Stroud's your quarterback now. Who's stupid enough to go get tickets to that? I don't know who goes to a Houston or Indy game in the first place, or Jacksonville. God knows Tennessee needs a quarterback. So the Bears get rid of their one pick for others. Smart move. Who are they going to draft? They need defense. They're an over team. They need defense. I don't think you waste a first-round pick with a wide receiver that you can get in the third, fourth, fifth round. And defense, you need defensive help that you can't get there. So I'll get a good pass rusher, good, good secondary guys. The secondary guys you can get later in the draft. You don't waste first-round picks on them. There's just too many. There's 5 wide receivers, so I won't throw to Jalen Ramsey. I'll throw to the other guy. So it's a wasted pick. You need good, but you don't waste a high pick on a cornerback. Look at the Lions. They got Okudah. Yeah, they had the worst defense in the league the last 2 years with Okudah as your 3 pick. Instead of trading it for, pretending they're going to draft Tagovailoa, trading it with Miami so Miami can get Tagovailoa. Don't know why. And then off they go. I heard somebody say that Shanahan said that the Miami coach was the smartest offensive mind he's ever seen. Obviously, he's never heard of Bill Walsh. I mean, unbelievably stupid. Or Eric Coryell, or there's Kansas City, Mahomes. It's just unbelievable that he would say that. And the guy's not a good coach. He's not even a coach. He's a tall boy. So what else? So we'll see about that. I look for Denver to be much better. You guys that bet like teams to win the division, I would bet Denver over San Diego and Kansas City next year, because they've got Russell Wilson, but you're adding the coach, Sean Payton, and he's bringing in his guys, his coaches. He's going to get good draft picks. You watch Denver. I am not going to be happy betting against Denver too often next year. There'll be a dog against KC both times, and they play them very well. And San Diego still has that shitty coach. They might have added offense, but it doesn't matter if he's going to play his defense the way he did against Jacksonville. They ain't going to win. And now you know why all their games are close. What do I tell you in the teaser? San Diego, bet them either way, you win. How can you not hold a 27-0 lead in a playoff game against fucking Jacksonville? 4 times in the first half, and then you switch defenses. Whose mindset is that? Are you kidding me? You lose a game 27-0 to Trevor Lawrence? Coach should be fired. So San Diego is still going to be a terrible team, in my opinion. Anyway, KC, look for Cincinnati. I'm hoping they get a good. I don't know what they're doing with T. Higgins. I mean, you got Bro and Chase, so they're strong offense. They need a running back, and they need some more defense. Their defense was pretty good last year. They're only, if they have a good couple of first-round picks, first, second, third round, they get a good running back that can really take the pressure off, a good edge rusher, a good linebacker, secondary, add 2 or 3 players there, and maybe an offensive lineman in the third or fourth or fifth round from Ohio State or Notre Dame or USC or something. Just old linemen, because they got everybody hurt. That's probably their weakness. But even with that, they got to the championship game. You have Joe Burrow. It takes care of that. So that's what I'm looking for there. So we'll see about the draft, but it's not all quarterback. Look at Rodgers. They didn't make the playoffs for Green Bay. However, with this defense and the Jets and this coach, and you're bringing in Lazard, and they got some receivers, but everybody plays better because Aaron Rodgers is there. We have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. It's like Brady. It's like Burrow. Once you got your Joe Montana, all of a sudden the whole team. I mean, why do you think the Niners, man? They got Matt Millman. They got Jim Burt. Ronnie Lott was already there, but you had great talent in the Niners. But when you got Joe Montana, let's keep the game close, then we're going to win it. And Montana, look at that Super Bowl. Keep the game close, and we'll win it. And that's what happened. So the defense plays better when they have a Montana on it, or a Burrow, or a Mahomes. So they play a different time. You know, they'll play loose early in the game, but then as the score dictates, and it's all right, we hold them, and we're going to go down the field and win the game. That's what happens. So keep that in mind. He motivates all the other players. So again, the bracket. So I talked about today's games. Let's run down them one last time, and we'll do a little bit on what the fuck's going on in the economy. So we've got Creighton, NC State. We like NC State as the dog, getting 5.5. Baylor, UC Santa Barbara, we're going over 141 in that game. Purdue against Fairleigh Dickinson, we're taking the game over 146. Memphis, Florida Atlantic, I'm taking Memphis because they beat Houston twice in a row, laying only 1.5. Kentucky, Providence, this is my 5-star, maybe my 10-star, I don't know what I said. One of the two, it's a bigger bet. Kentucky over 143. Kansas State, Montana over 140. USC, Michigan State's already on. I took USC. Marquette, Vermont. I like Marquette laying the 10. Miami and Drake. I like Drake getting the 2.5. Indiana, Kent State. I took Kent State in 4.5. Iowa State and Pitt. I went under 131, thinking it's a football game. Xavier, Kennesaw State. I took this game over 152. I didn't play Virginia Commonwealth, UConn. Sorry, just nothing made sense there. Iona and Connecticut, I think. Yeah, Iona, Connecticut. I took the under in the game, 140. TCU, Arizona State. I took Arizona State plus the 5. The Grand Canyon against Gonzaga. I took the over in the game, 154. Gonzaga, the biggest over team. And that's it today. So as we walk, we'll do tomorrow, same time, 10, 11 o'clock. We'll do like 11 o'clock. It start at 12. I got to see. If it starts at 12:30, we'll do an 11 o'clock show to give you the picks. Otherwise, I'll come on at like 12 o'clock. I know I've been a little later. I've had no reason to. But on college football, I come on at 11 because the games start at 12. And pros, I come on at 12 for the games that start at 1. That's normal. All right, let's go to this whole banking issue, Credit Suisse, and the 3 little banks that – you had a bunch of Madoffs running that had no fucking idea. Keep in mind, the banks are worldwide. So if we fuck over one bank, Credit Suisse, it's affecting the whole world. And these are, let's understand, these are investment banks. That's why we don't deal with them. I don't put my money in Silicon Valley Bank because it's not an individual bank. It's an investment bank. What's the difference? Investment. So if me and Bobby want to open up the shoe store, we go to Silicon Valley and say, we need $1 million at such interest rate. And they loan us the money because they're an investment bank. They're making investments in startups and internet companies and Bitcoin companies and all that. But they don't know what they're doing, so they just, that's why they have so much money, because people are coming in with startups and internet companies and stuff. Versus the Chase, Citibank, Comerica, Fifth Third, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. These are more people banks. So the people are putting their money in, not startups per se. And they loan, their pyramids, their Ponzi scheme is they get the deposits come in, and they loan it to people for houses or cars, right? That's what their strategy is. They're not maybe for business, but it's not like a startup. It's not like an internet startup company would not go to Wells Fargo or Bank of America. They might, but they're probably going to get a better deal at these investment banks. And that's the difference. And the investment banks are the ones going belly up because they didn't know they're not bankers. They didn't know what they were doing. So they'd get the money in, they didn't know what to do with it. So they put it in bonds, and as Powell's raising interest rates, how they don't know that and they don't understand that is beyond me, but that's because they're not bankers. So what I'm saying is, I know interest rates are going up. How do they not know it? So if I'm in an interest rate sensitive thing, I got to get out of it. I can't go 5 years in a T-bill or 10 years in a T-bill or a bond, because the rate's not going to hold and the inflation's eating it up anyway. So I would never have been in a bond. But that's the Keynesians for you. They don't understand. So with that said, they get caught and they don't have money. And then there was a bank run. People want their money out, which leads to other people. Now, a lot of people that pulled their money out into Bank of America, JP Morgan, Mellon, Fifth Third, Comerica, Wells Fargo. So people are going, oh, it's safer there. Well, it isn't safer there. Again, keep your bare minimum, maybe three. Now, if you're working, keep like 3 months of expense. So if you do a budget and you say, what's my mortgage / rent? What are my utilities? What's my food? What's my car insurance? What's my gas? What's my cable and the gym and da-da-da-da-da, and add that up, get a number, 3,000, let's say. And so I need, let's say 5 months. So I need $15,000. Well, let's call it 4 months. I need 12,000 in there to cover 4 months, because I might lose my job because the economy is going to shit. But I'm still working. So I keep the 4 months going. I keep 12,000 in there, and I get the money and I pay my bills, and then I buy some gold with the excess money, or maybe we go on a vacation, maybe we buy something. But anyway, I'm paying my car, I'm paying my mortgage, da-da-da-da-da. That's it. I don't want to hear I lost 200,000 in the bank. If you did, you get what you deserve because you need to get it out. Well, Howard, where do I put it? Buy a safe, put it at your house. Nobody's running into your house. Nobody knows you got money, unless you're Bill Gates, and then you got Gates and security on your house anyway. So you put it there, and then you buy gold and silver, and you put that in the safe, not at a bank. Do not put it in the safety deposit box. So you buy that with the rest of your money. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to protect yourself. That's what I've been talking about for 2 years. Get out of this, because this is losing value. But keeping it at the bank, you might just, we don't have it. You can't trust the government. Biden, everybody will have their money. That's a bunch of bullshit. How much money do you think they have? And if they start printing money to cover it, then you got to be out of your mind. That's inflation. What they're giving you, you need more, right? If it's 100 grand, you really need to cover the 100 grand, because after you print the 120 grand, it's not worth 120. I'm gonna to this money supply definition, because these guys, the money supply they printed is $20 trillion, but they're saying, well, but there's only 1 trillion in actual cash. No, it does no. They printed 20 trillion. Now again, I don't have the actual cash. See, here's where they're being deceived by the deceiver Sauron. If you have money on a debit card, right? You have money in the bank, but you use your debit card. There's really no cash that goes along with it, but it is cash, right? So 20 trillion in credit and debit cards, even though you're not using paper, it's still paper. It's that's the thought. We don't need to print 20 trillion of these out, but there's 20 trillion of those there, which is affecting the value of it either way. So you don't necessarily need 20 trillion in dollars, but in effect, that's what you printed is 20 trillion dollars. That's heavy inflation when the most was 1 trillion. That's why it's heavy inflation, and that's why it is not coming back. If you're stupid enough to listen to this Rickards guy and he says, oh, inflation's going to go and be zero by the end of March, this guy could be the stupidest guy I've ever heard in my life. But he did work for the government, so wouldn't surprise me. The guy's a Keynesian. The guy is clueless that anybody that says inflation's gone or it's going to drop, it doesn't know what they're talking about. It's not dropping. It's not going anywhere. It's going higher and higher and higher. Because once it goes higher and higher, it just keeps going higher and higher. It doesn't stop. Anyway, that's the biggest thing. I assume a lot of people are watching basketball now, which is, I understand, but you come back to the video later. So, I mean, I could do this live or I could do it a video. I used to do videos all the time, but now I do them live for questions and everything. So, Bobby, I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a few days. Nick, good luck today. I know you got Marquette. So anyway, so that's what's happening. And then gold simply being held down by JP Morgan. The idiots that don't understand this should not be on YouTube. So some guy says it might break through to 2,000 or 2,100 because they're looking at COMEX chart, are probably the dumbest people on the planet to try to scam everybody that they know what they're talking about. If you're printing a bunch of derivative fake stocks that are lowering the price on purpose, that is not the real price of gold. And you can't look at the derivatives thinking it's going to go up. It's going to go where JP Morgan wants it to go, which is not up or down. They want to keep it down. That's what JP Morgan wants because they want people to buy it. Their friend, the Chinese, the Russians, whoever are running JP Morgan wants the price low, they buy more. So right now it's keep the price down so we can buy more because we know it's all going to blow up. And so they're keeping it low until it finally, there's no more left, which is very, very close. You hear this Andy Schechtman guy all he does is cry about, oh, they're buying all the supply like he's totally clueless. He thinks he knows what he's talking about. Just very discouraging. So he'll say, oh, they're buying. Yeah, hello, because the price is like $10,000 under what it should be for silver. So because the price is so low, they're buying it because they all know it's blowing up. And it's all part of some stupid plan that the odds on the plan going right are slim to none. You can't force me to do what I don't want to do. But I want to go central bank, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to go Bitcoin, I'm not doing it. I want to go into gold, that's what I'm doing. So gold and silver will go through the moon soon. It's just once all the supply is bought up and there's no more need for JP Morgan to hold it down. Now, the other end of that thought is the U.S. cannot allow gold to go up if they have a choice because they don't have any gold. So if I want to be the king of the castle, those with the gold make the rules. That's the golden rule, right? So if I have a lot of gold, I want the price up. If I don't have any gold, I don't want the price up because it benefits Russia and China and India and Saudi Arabia and all these countries that have a lot of gold benefit from the gold price going up. Why anybody in their right mind's listening to COMEX, I don't know, but that's the other reason. If they let the gold price go up, then they're fucked because they don't have any gold. But this is where Russia and China are intelligent. They're going around the system saying, we're going to make our own price. Why are we listening to the COMEX? Why is that being listened to? So we're going to ignore COMEX, make our own price. That's how we're going to, make a fortune in this. Now, what's the U.S.? They've always said, if you do a gold stand, we're going to war with you. What's the U.S.? Oh, the drone shot down. We're going to go to war with Russia or Crimea or Taiwan. We're going to go to war with China. So it's all bullshit. But it's all about, really, it's about them coming out with a gold standard. So what's the U.S. going to go to war with everybody over the gold standard because they're too stupid to keep gold? Why the U.S. doesn't like gold, I think tells you everything you need to know. No wonder we're in such trouble. We got idiots running this. First of all, the only competition for this is gold and silver, as I said. You can't lose with it. It can only go up in value in real physical terms. You're not going to see gold at $100 an ounce or silver at $5. And if you do, you go and buy as much of it as you can because it can't possibly last there. The demand would just engulf it in 5 minutes. You're never going to see it any lower than it is, and you're only going to see it higher very, very soon. Because it's not in COMEX's hand anymore. It's not in the U.S.'s hand. The U.S. needs gold, but doesn't have parties with the gold. The Russian and Chinese are the ones going to force it. That's really what's going to happen there. So that's why you buy it, and it's the only competition for the dollar. You can't go into another currency, so it leaves you Bitcoin. Well, what is Bitcoin? How is Bitcoin versus gold? Gold is a physical thing that you own that's been around since the Romans. Bitcoin isn't. Bitcoin you don't own. If you don't have internet, you're fucked. How do you cash it? If the banks go out, you're fucked. Not with gold. There was one thing I wanted to show you that I told you. But I saw it on somebody else's thing, and I just kind of smiled and said, "Yeah, that's what the professor's talking about." Just a second. So if you read this, I don't like the woman, but I like what it says. It says, houses could be selling for 0.20 for a quarter ounce of gold. Where have we heard this from? No, I don't like her. She's kind of weird, but there you go. And then this is the guy I can't stand. This is the moron Keynesian who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So don't listen to him. But anyway, that's the difference between gold and Bitcoin. Gold can buy you a house or buy you a Ferrari or buy you a Mercedes. Silver can buy you food. How are you going to give somebody Bitcoin? So I go to my barbecue place and I go, well, I'm going to pay in Bitcoin. And the guy says, I don't have a Bitcoin account. I can't take it. I walk there with an ounce of silver. I'm eating and I'm paying for it. And when silver goes really, really high, I'm not looking. You don't give them the ounce that's worth $2,000 for $25 ribs. You go to the bank, and there'll be a bank with some currency, either this or the new currency. That's why you always have to have the paper, and you always will, because if I sell a Rolex, if I sell a car, I want money, right? Even if I go sell my ounce of gold for $50,000, I want the money. I don't need all 50 of it, but I'm going to want 5,000 or 1,000 of it. And I'm going to go grocery shopping in that. How am I going to pay for groceries? So I'm going to need this to have on a debit card to pay for groceries, to pay for my haircut, to pay for my gas, pay for, restaurants. So with the ounce of silver worth $1,000 and I go to barbecue and it's $25 to eat or whatever the price is going to be, I'm going to cash it in for 1,000 of these, take 25, or I'm going to put it in my bank. I'm going to say, here's the coin, it's worth 1,000. Give me, or where I'm going to go to the coin store where I buy it from. So give me 1,000. Let's say he gives me a check. I'll put it in my bank and I'll use it on my debit card. You don't take 1,000 ounce, a silver ounce worth $1,000 to the barbecue place that's 25 and pay him with. That's not what I'm talking about. However, if it got down to that, we would start pricing things in. I got a tenth of an ounce gold, a quarter of an ounce gold. I don't have tenth of an ounce or quarter ounce silver, but if silver hits 2,000, see, this is why you need money. You need a way to buy things in smaller denominations. Let's go back to my money. If I can find it. Money has got to be divisible for small exchanges. This is the medium of their six. It's got to be portable. And I'm not sure Bitcoin's portable. Scarce. I'm not sure Bitcoin's scarce like gold is. Divisible for small exchanges. Is Bitcoin divisible for small exchanges? But gold is. Fungible. Everything is the same. So gold's gold, gold. And then accepted and durable. It's got to be accepted. So how do I get Bitcoin to be fungible and acceptable and divisible for small exchanges? How do I get Bitcoin to do that? That's another problem. It's not money. Any way you want to slice it, it's not money because they don't even issue coins. It's a fictitious thing in the internet, in the cloud somewhere. You type in your thing. What are you going to sell? A quarter ounce of Bitcoin. I'm going to sell $500 of Bitcoin. Okay, how do you get the money? And then if you try to use it at a restaurant or something, what if the guy doesn't take it? But they will take the gold, or I can go and cash it in. And I don't know how you cash in your Bitcoin, but that's really what I see the problem. But with gold and silver, I just go to the coin store. He gives me whatever the value is. There's no discussion. If it's $2,000 an ounce of silver, here's an ounce of silver. Give me $2,000. I use it to pay what, bills or eat or gas, whatever I'm using it for. And so I have a little bit of storage until I go take the next ounce and go buy it. In Roman times, they had different denominations, silver and gold. So that's how you bought food. You didn't take the whole ounce of gold, but that's why you used the silver. That's why silver is very important, and they don't get it either. They go, well, it's going to go down because it's for production. You know, it's in batteries, it's in solar panels and all this stuff. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's money. And so I guess the difference is gold is the real heavy hitter. That's to buy the house. And silver is the food and stuff. However, silver is going to be worth a ton anyway. And it's going to be worth a whole lot more than 25. So again, with Russia and China, the whole world's on COMEX. Here's Russia and China not. They're bypassing it outside the ring fence, as Andy would say. So what he's saying is there's the ring fence, COMEX, JP Morgan, and London, and they keep the price down. And you got to go there to get the value. And what is now happening is Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, all these countries are not playing COMEX. They're going outside. So they're building this price, the real physical price, which is so much higher than COMEX, which is either going to destroy COMEX or put COMEX as a competition to it. So if Russia says it's worth $2,000 for an ounce of silver, COMEX has to make $2,000 because nobody's going to honor it. First of all, then I'm going to buy it out of COMEX at $25 when the real price, and I can go turn around and get $2,000. So COMEX is gone anyway because it's not real. But as people realize that, so most people don't understand it. I don't want to buy gold and silver. It's not worth anything. Thinking I'll buy stocks instead because they're clueless. First of all, they don't understand stocks. And secondly, they don't understand why is gold and silver priced at COMEX? And COMEX isn't a real price. So people are clueless in that whole area. So really, that's what I keep. I keep hitting everybody over the head with that concept, because it's a concept that must be understood to really get what's happening. All these bank problems are caused by the interest rate, because people who are running the banks are buying bonds, which they shouldn't do for two reasons. One, the inflation is going to kill the value of the bond in the first place. And two, this idiot keeps raising interest rates, which hurts the value of the bonds. So there's two reasons you don't really want the bonds, right? So the banks are stupid. They don't know what to do. If it was me running the banks, I would have been buying gold and silver as fast as I could. And the thing with gold and silver is you can't get hurt. This is what I keep saying. They can't print it. They can't do anything stupid with it. It just sits there. Oh, I got a ton of gold, 37,000 ounces. How am I going to get hurt? By what? How can the value go down? It can't. Not with inflation, and not with, we're getting, and the Russian and China want to get it at real price. So you have to understand it's not a real price, first of all. And then secondly, these people losing 60,000 in a movie, or on these banks losing it. And then you have, you have bank runs. Well, if you got gold that's sitting in your house or in a nearby secure place, and you don't have to worry about it, nothing can happen. So that's the point. You can't lose 60,000. The guy in the movie bought $60,000 worth of gold instead of putting it in a mutual fund, so he can get 8% a year with it. Well, you're going to get like 20,000% return on gold and silver. So he doesn't even understand that. Look at silver at 25. It goes to 50, you made 100%. It goes to 75, you made 200%. It goes to 100, you made 300%. All silver has to do is go to 100, which is going to go way past that. So every 100's 300%. 500, you're at 15,000%, right? So it's not hard to figure, but that's how you gain on it, is because JP Morgan's keeping it down. So anyway, that's my goal. Please get your money out of the banks. Just leave, 3 or 4 months worth of what your bills are. You should be pretty safe there. Especially, and this is what they're trying to scam you with. The bigger banks are safe. I doubt the bigger banks are any safer. Maybe the more experienced bank, but I don't think, because it's a bigger bank, because it's Bank of America, is any safer. They're trying to drive you to the Federal Reserve. Oh, that'll be safe. When you start hearing that this is when we get on an airplane and go to a safe country, if we can find one, and get the fuck out, because that's where they're headed. They're thinking they're going to scare us. What does the government do? Nothing. So they try to scare you. COVID. Oh, we're all going to die from COVID. Now with the banks, the bank runs, the banks are collapsing. Get your money out of the bank. Put it in JP Morgan and Chase and Citibank and Morgan Stanley and Wells Fargo and everything. So now you're running to that. Now when they start collapsing, you're going to, let's run to the Fed. That's really the plan. But JP Morgan's not going to allow that to get past him. No. Well, you'll be finding us. We're not going to play that game because we run the Fed. So that's where it'll end, in the bigger banks. And then I don't know what they'll do. Are they going to collapse the big banks for the Federal Reserve dollars? You'll be safe in the Federal Reserve. You can see what's happening, right? Safety. Well, if you want safety, buy fucking gold. They can't fuck with you there. A bank run won't affect you. They bought bonds, won't affect you. They were in stocks, won't affect you. The housing values fell, won't affect you. The gold will go up and up and up. So that's really the safest haven you can be in. But we don't want to tell you that. We don't want to tell you that you'll be secure and safe in gold. So therefore they're going to confiscate it. No, they won't. They'll tax you when you sell it, but they can't compensate it. They don't have enough people. They don't know who has it and everything else. Um, they're not coming for your gold. It's not happening. Yeah, it happened in 1933 because we're on the gold standard and they were wanting to print money for the New Deal and all this bullshit socialized stuff that FDR was having, prolonging the depression. The depression was caused by inflation and government spend because they thought government spend because Keynes somehow becomes he's a fucking moron is all of a sudden listened to going, well, you need government spending because if we spend, the economy will be okay. Even if we have to print the money, that'll make the economy grow. And no, but you're killing the value of the money. That's the part of the equation nobody's understanding. We'll spend to keep the economy going, but if we keep printing, the value of the money goes to zero. That's why you're in gold and silver, but they don't want to tell you that part of the Keynes mess. Keynes has been proven he doesn't work. The Austrians have been proven to work, and I don't like when I'm seeing people called monetarists. No, there's Keynesian and there's Austrian. There's only two schools of thought, so either one or the other. And if people are calling themselves monetarists to not be Austrians, I'm sorry, I didn't think Austrian economics or classical economics was a bad word, but apparently it is, just like everything else in America now, with this whole trans thing and this whole all this bullshit of a man's a woman and a woman's a man bullshit that is just so stupid. Why anybody listens to it is beyond me. But anyway, keep that in mind. So that's really why you want the gold and silver. Just, it's going up because of Russia and China. And that's the difference from the 50 years of COMEX. And so what they're saying is we're not going to listen to COMEX anymore. We're creating our own exchange, and that's what's going to give us the value of gold and silver, not COMEX. That's the beautiful thing of it. And, it's sort of like, oh, I don't want to bet at MGM because the odds suck. It's 13-10 for teasers, right? Well, you don't have to. So you go outside the ring fence to William Hill and you get 11-10. That's what they're doing. They're getting away from COMEX. It's not the only casino. Right now, it's the only casino, but what you're going to do is go around that to the new thing, and that's where you'll end up being is in the new. You'll be in the new casino you'll be at the William Hill at 11-10, not 13-10. And that's what you're going to be with gold. You're going to be in the Russia, China, going, oh no, gold's 40,000 an ounce, silver's 2,000 an ounce. You're going, yeah, I like this casino a lot better, and everybody will leave COMEX, and that'll be the end of it. And it's taking time because it takes time. You can't just flip the switch. And America wants to go to war over it with Russia and China like a bunch of idiots. And they're just waiting because they know the U.S. is going broke. They know the inflation. The more you print, the less it's worth. So they're going, well, we'll wait 2 months. You won't have any money. So you can't go to war because you can't afford the missiles. You can't fly your plane. You can't afford the gas. You can't feed your men. Nothing will make sense. And that's why you can't fight a war without money. You got to pay. You got the supplies. You got the oil for the tanks and the planes and the weapons. You fire a missile, you got to get another one. So when Russia fires all these missiles into the Ukraine, they got to pay for new missiles. Where are they getting that money from? They don't have money. But that's why there's so much inflation is they're buying gold. Russia, China are broke because they've been buying gold. I don't know about Japan. But England, Canada, and most of Europe are not there. It's the Eastern, like Hungary and Poland. Poland's got a lot of gold. Czechoslovakia's got a lot of gold. Russia, China's got a lot of. So a lot of these countries are the ones buying up all the gold because they know they can see. You can read to the conclusion. The dollar's going to zero. Nobody wants it. Saudi Arabia's dealing with one. It's the end of the dollar. Nobody wants it. Yes, if you looked at if you're going to trade your dollar in and you have to get another dollar right now, you go into U.S. dollars. You don't trust the yuan and maybe you can't buy the ruble. But how about gold? And that's what China and China and Japan are doing. Well, I know China's doing it. So instead of buying U.S. dollars, they're buying gold. So they're printing a lot. Russia's doing the same thing. So that's really the key. Don't buy dollars because you think dollars are a safe haven. No, you don't even buy dollars. You buy gold with the money. So that's what's happening. Most people are they're taking their money and buying gold with it, not US dollars. So they're returning the US dollars, which is hyperinflation. And it's just a matter of time, another couple of months before the dollar's worthless. Gold will then not be tied to COMEX, and then it'll get to its real value, which is not $3,000 for an ounce of gold or $2,550 for an ounce of silver. It's 3,000 for silver, and it's 10,000 at least for gold. Just because of what has happened with the bank runs and the war would make it 10,000. If it wasn't touched, if it was free market, all right, supply and demand. If you had gold and silver supply and demand, you just have a war going on, and you just had 3 bank failures, and Credit Suisse is close behind, heavy inflation. Gold would be at least 10 to 20,000 an ounce. Silver would be 2 to 3,000. If it was free market, not JP Morgan holding it down. How stupid do they think people are? Oh, well, I won't buy it. Look, it doesn't move. You really think it's not moving? You really think everybody's buying it and it's still not moving? Does that make any sense to anybody? Everything moves. So I wish there was a better way to show you the value, the loss of value of the dollar. I can show you in 71, it was 35 to an ounce of gold, and now it's 1900 to an ounce of gold. But because they're not letting the gold run, I can't say, look, it went from 1900 to 3000 or 5000. So there's nothing I can show you. Oreo cookies and Coke went to $2.99 from $1.50. That's losing value in the dollar. But again, they have to sell, and they can't go much higher because nobody's going to buy it. I'm already seeing buy 2, get the third one for free for Coke and Pepsi and that shit. So there's really no way to tell you except for this is getting this. The value of this is down to about this now. It's about this much of the dollar is now left. There's like 99 and 9/10 of the dollar is gone. And you can't print 20 trillion, and now you're giving another couple trillion to the bank, and then you're giving the Ukraine money. See, they don't get it. The Keynesians think we'll just print money and we won't lose. See, they're disconnecting that they lose the value of the money, right? You can't, if you print the money, it's worth less the more you print it because you don't have it backed by gold or silver. You can't just keep printing the fucking thing. This card should be worth $10,000 easy, is worth $200, $250 because it's overproduced. This card should be worth $1,000 easy. It's the Armor Jaeger rookie. It's worth what, $100, I think, because it's pro set, heavily produced. I paid $10 for the boxes back in 1990 when I first started collecting this instead of buying more gold, which again, another reason for the divorce. It was funny. I was getting my hair cut yesterday, and I'm explaining to my stylist. She understands. I teach her gold and silver. She gets it. And then she made a comment about having white gold wedding brand, and it says it's not worth a lot. And I says, well, that's why I got divorced. When my ex gets the ring and it's half gold and half gold and half white gold. And I'm like, it's like white chocolate. Chocolate's supposed to be dark. Gold's supposed to be gold. You're not catching me with white gold. If I want to buy white, I buy silver. I don't buy silver, I buy gold. Well, in the coins, I buy silver, so cheap, but that's it. So anybody that buys the white gold or white silver or white gold or white chocolate, forget about it. So I teased her. I says, now I know why you're divorced, because your husband bought you. She's divorced. Bought white gold. There's no difference in value, though. If you go to the jewelers with white gold, a white gold necklace or a gold necklace, they're both considered gold. So if you have some, don't worry about it. However, don't buy jewelry. You get fucked on it. They're going to sell this for $3,000. This is 1 ounce of gold, but I can't get $3,000 for it. I can get $1,200 for it. They get 18 karat. They revalue gold at 18 karat. So it's not even 1,800. It's like 1,400 is how they value 18 karat gold. And then This is not really an ounce of gold. Well, it's 1.22 total weight, so it's 0.98 ounces of gold, but it's not times the 1900. It's times 18 karat gold price, which is all a big scam. So don't buy jewelry, buy coins. It is what it is. There's no carats. You buy a coin, it's an ounce of gold. What's the spot? 1900. That's what it's worth. You want to go on eBay, you get 2000 for it. That's it. It's not. There's nothing else with it. So don't buy a lot of jewelry. Anyway, so good luck on the baskets if you're betting it. Alabama should definitely get the Final Four. However, I don't know. Whoever gets out of that East is going to be tough to beat. And then I don't know. I'm leaning now a little towards Texas. Houston just doesn't look good. And then Kansas, UCLA. I would take UCLA. So it looks like it'll be UCLA, Texas, Alabama, and could be Duke, could be Tennessee, could be Marquette. Probably not Purdue. So keep that in mind. What's the bracket? Enjoy the games. So I'll be back tomorrow. We will do the college games for tomorrow. Same thing Sunday. So we'll come on a little earlier, 11:30 or so. We'll still do our other show. I got to go watch my guy, Andrew McGuire. I hate his guests. Some guy who's like a Wall Street guy. It's like, no, these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. There's nothing the guy can say, because I don't know who he is, that I can listen to. Only Andrew, and I get frustrated because it's like, look, I want to hear what Andrew's going to say about this whole savings and loan and the bank crisis and how it's affecting gold and silver and when we're getting the new Russian gold. I don't want to hear from this other guy. There's nothing that interests me about the other guys. I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? Anyway, so that's what's happening. Have a wonderful day. www.teaserking.com. Good luck today. I hope you do well, make some money. And if you do, we'll buy gold and silver with it. Go buy some silver this weekend. You got to have $100. Go buy 4 ounces. I mean, you got it. You're going to be looking at that $100 is going to be worth $8,000 if you buy 4 ounces. And I'm going to say, I'm not sure for sure, but I'm going to say within 3 or 4 months by summer, the hold on JP Morgan, COMEX Russia, China should have this new casino to go to that the odds are better. Let's put it that way. All right, everybody. Have a good day. Good luck. Take care. www.teaserking.com. Ta-ding.